Weekly horoscope for October the 28th through November the 3rd. Welcome, dear friends. I have prepared for you another video, and together we are going to discuss which are the key events during the upcoming week, how you can prepare, and of course, which are the most beneficial days through the week. Now, first, let me tell you which are those really key events. So what you should be most aware and conscious of. Of course, the most important event is Mercury, which turns retrograde. I think that this is probably one of the most popular topics in astrology overall. When Mercury turns retrograde, everyone is interested in that. Many people are kind of afraid or worried. So we need to explain actually what does Mercury retro mean and how you can prepare for this transition. Also, Venus will ingress in Sagittarius, so we have a change on the emotional, in the emotional area, in the area of relationships, and that should be a positive one because Venus will leave Scorpio, a sign which honestly is not very comfortable for Venus, and it shifts to Sagittarius. So more excitement, more fiery, exciting emotions. Also, Mercury will have a conjunction with Venus, so we are gonna discuss that as well. And the Sun will have an opposition with Uranus. This is an aspect which we have only once a year. And this is one of those aspects which can totally bring us the unexpected or the surprises or something very exciting but very new and very unpredictable. So with those things happening, Mercury being stationary turning retro, with the Sun in opposition with Uranus, prepare that overall the week may go in a different direction from what you have expected or even what you have planned. Now, of course, we are going to go through each of the days and discuss the most important influences. And actually, this Sun-Uranus opposition happens on Monday, the 28th of October. The Sun in opposition with Uranus can bring you a very strong desire to do something different, to experiment, to get outside of the box. And from the positive side, this is really time to experiment, to try new things, to be more original in your approach, and also to enjoy the process. But on the negative side, this is an aspect which can make us more irritable, more nervous, more impatient. Sometimes, taking some drastic decisions unexpectedly. So be aware of that and don't rush things too much, if that's possible for you, of course. Then we also have Mars in a quincunx with Neptune. And this is an aspect which may require also some kind of adaptation. So we might have one direction for our plans and actions, but over time we may need to change it. The quincunx is an aspect which at first may bring challenges. So it means that there might be something unexpected, something confusing, something which we are not very realistic about, even when it comes to our own actions, our own activities. But on the positive side, this is an aspect which can bring more inspiration, more creativity, something, which is again very different from what we are used to do generally. And on top of that, the transit moon is in Scorpio on Monday. So it's gonna be a very intense day. And there might be some tension. Generally, we know that the Scorpio moon, it's kind of, bringing us this discomfort. So be careful how you treat people because sometimes they may take things too personally, or there might be certain level of trust issues, or people may not be that easygoing. So this is just something that happens when the moon is in Scorpio. We just have to accept and prepare for it. Also, there is a tendency for dramatizing a little bit more than necessary. So if that happens to you, just remind yourself that's the Scorpio moon. Just wait for a couple of days. Things may look, from a different perspective. Then on Tuesday, the 29th of October, the transit moon will be in Scorpio until 5 p.m. And during this time, the moon will join Mercury and Venus there. So this means that we can have a very active communication with other people. We might be very emotional also. So both Venus and the moon and together in Scorpio, that's kind of a, explosive combination. So lots of emotions, lots of potential drama. Don't forget about it. But at the same time, we may have the opportunity to analyze the situation because Mercury is there together with the moon and Venus. So we have to find a rational explanation, or also this is a very good aspect for explaining your feelings, verbalizing how you feel, what kind of emotions you have. And even when it comes to negotiations or any kind of, communication in business and in our personal life, this aspect supports that. For financial issues, the day is also very positive. Taking some financial steps or planning something or even making some kind of purchase, just, be aware that your emotions will also direct your decisions. And after 5 p.m. Eastern Time, the moon will ingress in Sagittarius. And this is a positive one. So let's be honest, I love the sign Scorpio, so don't get me wrong. Scorpio is really one of my favorite signs, but it's just not a comfortable position for the moon and for Venus, by the way. So those are some of the more challenging days when the moon is in Scorpio. And then when it moves to Sagittarius, there is a shift. So on Tuesday after 5 p.m., basically in the evening, expect an emotional shift in the atmosphere of how people approach each other, how they communicate, and overall how you feel internally. Then on Wednesday, the 30th of October, Mercury will be in exact conjunction with Venus. This happens in the sign of Scorpio. And this brings us more focus on the communication area. This is a positive time also to express our feelings or to analyze more our personal life, our relationships, to negotiate, to explain ourselves. Even when it comes to some financial stuff, we might be really focused on those areas. Now, I don't recommend taking some very important decisions or, some buying something very expensive, for example, because on Wednesday, Mercury is already stationary. Mercury is about to turn retrograde on the next day, Thursday. But even from Wednesday, Mercury is already slow enough to bring us this Mercury retro energy. So you might think about emotional stuff, personal stuff. At the same time, we may feel like, we are repeating old patterns, for example, or old relationships are, keeping our mind busy. And at the same time, we may not feel as productive as we want to. So we may think a lot, but probably even if we find certain solutions, later on in the next couple of weeks, things can change. But again, it doesn't mean that this is something bad. Sometimes this is just the necessary process. So on Wednesday, be careful. Mercury is stationary. Also on Wednesday, the moon is in Sagittarius, and that's a harmonious position, which can bring us more optimism, more positive attitude, potentially, desire for more adventures or to take action or to do something inspiring. So the moon is in this positive Sagittarius position. And Thursday, the middle of the week, we have the biggest event. Mercury is officially turning retrograde in Scorpio. So first of all, don't think that that's the end of the world. Of course, we astrologers always like to, inform people, tell them, be careful, be cautious. But after all, it's not the end of the world. So Mercury is retrograde 3 or 4 times each year. So obviously, more or less, we are kind of used to it. And these are just some normal repeating processes that we actually need in order to reassess the past, or maybe to find solutions to previous problems or issues, and of course to restart all things. So Mercury is gonna be retrograde for 3 weeks, basically the first 3 weeks of November. And during the whole time, Mercury is in Scorpio, retrograde in Scorpio. So first, we have to be very careful with the financial stuff. Scorpio is the sign of mutual resources, exchange of energy, and money, of course. This is the general energy and resource we share. So I wouldn't recommend you to make new investments, to take money or give money to other people, to buy something which is, kind of important and expensive, of course. And overall, not beneficial period for starting brand new projects. So when I say brand new projects, I mean, like, for example, you have an idea for your own business. So let's say that you want to start a blog, or you want to start your astrology practice or whatever. So when Mercury is retrograde, it's really not the time to do it. You might prepare, you might, explore deeper what would you like to achieve and so on, but just don't start. On the other side, if previously you have had a blog, or maybe you have had certain practice, but for whatever reason you have stopped, maybe you became a mother, or maybe you needed to travel somewhere, or whatever happened, and you have stopped. Now you might restart those things. So you can go back to your blog, or you can restart your astrology practice or whatever. So that's the reason, that's the general approach. Brand new things are not supported, but restarting the old ones, that's something that we can totally do. It applies also to relationships and contacts with other people. So to negotiate with a new business partner, well, it may not be that smooth, things may not go that easily, or you may not follow through, meaning that, you might negotiate one thing, but later on, one of the sides may change their opinion. So usually contracts which are signed during Mercury retrograde, later on, there are some challenges. So just be aware of that. But on the other side, you can meet friends from the past. You can call someone, who has been an important person in your life or whatever. So restarting, basically anything with re can be positive, to repeat something, to restart, to reassess, to reevaluate. All of those things can work very well. Just try not to do the brand new things while Mercury is retro, and check things twice, especially if you have planned to travel somewhere, you have plane tickets, you have other things. So check the schedule, prepare for possible delays. This is kind of a rule for Mercury retro, to bring us those delays or, document complications. But as we said, it's not the end of the world. We have had many of those transits, and hopefully we are gonna have many of them in the future. And one more thing which you also need to do is to check where in your chart Mercury is gonna be retro. So it's in the Scorpio sign, no ingressions, just the Scorpio sign. And if you haven't watched your monthly horoscope for your sun and rising sign, I would encourage you to do that, because I talk about Mercury retro for each of the signs, which part of your life will be triggered, so what you should be really careful of. I will put the link for the monthly videos in case you haven't watched yours. Okay, and together with the Mercury retro transition, we also have the Sun having a minor challenging aspect with Jupiter. So it's a time of changes when it comes to our goals, our plans. People might be, a little bit overreacting if they are not treated with respect. So generally, to receive respect and appreciation can be more important than usual. But as we said, especially Wednesday and Thursday are one of those days that you just need to be more careful, because things will probably go in a different direction. The moon is in Sagittarius, which is something supportive actually. It always brings the optimism, it brings our desire to expand and to grow. The trick is that sometimes we might overestimate our potential or what we can achieve over a day. Honestly, I'm doing this quite often. So I want to do, like hundreds of things, but after all, the day has only 24 hours. So sometimes with the moon in Sagittarius, we may try to do more than it's actually, humanly possible. So just be careful, be aware of that. Then we are moving to November, the first Friday. Again, this is the beginning of the new month. So if you haven't watched your own horoscope for your sign, make sure to do it. Venus will ingress in Sagittarius, which is another key event for Friday, and Venus will stay there until the 25th actually, so more than 3 weeks Venus is in Sagittarius. That's especially beneficial for the fire signs, Sagittarius, Leo, Aries, but overall it can also lighten up the emotional atmosphere. Venus in Scorpio, it's too intense. Honestly, there is drama, there is, too strong attachment. There is lots of passion, so we're not saying it's only bad, but the Sagittarius Venus is kind of, bringing more adventures, bringing more easygoing energy. Also for outer expression of our feelings, of, what we are experiencing internally, the Sagittarius Venus is more beneficial as well. And the Sun has a quintile with Pluto on Friday. So that's an aspect which can bring change. Change about restructuring something, about something that we are trying to create, some kind of principles and rules that we have, because Pluto is in Capricorn and because the quintile is an aspect that potentially brings changes. So on Friday, we can also expect some kind of change. But the moon is in Capricorn, so to focus on work, on our obligations, is actually something positive that we can do. So I would encourage you to follow through, to be precise, to be accurate, and just do the necessary work on Friday. We have Saturday next, the 2nd of November, and basically the key event here is the semi-square between Venus and Saturn. Minor challenging aspect, but combined with that, we also have the moon in Capricorn, which is the Saturn sign. So honestly, that's lots of Capricorn, Saturn energy affecting mostly our emotions, our mood, how we feel. So this might be a time that there can be kind of a distance between people. This is not the best time to plan your party, or something which requires people to relax and just have fun and go with the flow. It probably won't work like that. On the other side, it can be a positive time to pay attention to your obligations and your work. And actually, this combination may also mean that we need to pay attention to work, and we may not have so much time for our personal life and even, the people that we love. But sometimes the Capricorn energy brings those things. And finally, we have Sunday. On Sunday, the moon is in Aquarius, so we have a much lighter atmosphere, much more, excitement possible. And this is a great time also to communicate with other people, to socialize, to go with your friends or your community, do something together. The moon will have a sextile with Venus, so there can be harmony, there can be love, which is shared between people. For communication, even for having fun and for entertainment, this sounds great. There is also a square between the moon and Uranus, and this one is kind of a tricky aspect because it can bring something shocking, something surprising, something we are not expecting. And yet it may still be exciting and interesting. So prepare to do something different, to experiment, but also socialize with people, go out and enjoy your day. So honestly, between the two days on the weekend, Sunday is the more positive when it comes to entertainment, relaxation, and having fun. Saturday is much more positive for work and obligation. So keep that in mind when you are planning your week. And that, my friends, was our weekly horoscope for next week. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Marina Stoichkova. I'm planning to share more and more stuff with you there, like daily astrology stories, like more inspiring posts, motivation, some coaching advices. So if you're interested in all of that, make sure to go to Instagram and friend with me. So thank you so much for your time. Make sure to listen to your own monthly horoscope, and I'll see you guys really soon. Take care.